What's going on, everyone? Michael here with another episode of Artistry Riffs, a series where I talk just kind of candidly about gigs that I've had recently, things going on in the music scene, and most importantly, things that I think could help you as a professional artist in your day-to-day life. So today I'm riffing about being more valuable to band leaders, or more importantly, to the people that are hiring you for your gigs. So what do I mean when I say being more valuable to band leaders? Well, here's a few things that I think all of us could consider when it comes to getting hired for gigs. Now, I know some of the things I'm about to say might seem really obvious or a bit of a duh moment for some people, but I still think it's important to outline specifically what makes a good professional and what separates the greats from the didn't really make it. So I'm going to start out with an obvious one, and that's show up on time. I can't tell you how many times I've booked gigs of my own in the past and I say, show up 20 minutes before the downbeat or 30 minutes before the downbeat. It's 10 minutes till, 5 minutes till, and someone still isn't there yet. It's a scary feeling, it's an infuriating feeling, but really most importantly, that tells me that my time was not respected, that the whole band's time was not respected. If there's 5 people on the gig and one person shows up 5 minutes before the downbeat, it's disrespectful, plain and simple. Now, things happen, and everyone acknowledges this. Cats get flat tires, get pulled over for speeding, or, left the house, realize they forgot their music and gotta come back. It's okay, and everyone understands this. At least if you send a message, call, what have you, hey man, I'm sorry, I'm gonna be late. These things happen, and that's okay. I also realize some instruments don't require as much setup time. I'm a bass player. I need more time than a trumpet player needs to get set and ready for the gig. So just remember, when in doubt, get there before the band leader, and I promise they will thank you for it. The next thing I want to mention is looking good. And I don't just mean how you dress, although that's extremely important too, whether that means wear a suit. Maybe you need a tie, maybe you don't. But if the band leader says, wear a tie, and you don't wear one, that just tells me that you didn't listen to my instructions, or you don't care enough to. Now, some people can get away with this. I've seen it. I know some guys in Chicago that have some very interesting dress choices that doesn't mesh with anyone else in the band. I wouldn't recommend it though. If the band leader tells you to dress a certain way, dress that way. The second thing I want to think about with looking good is look like you're having fun on stage. Everyone knows someone that just looks bored when they're not taking a solo. Maybe it's when a horn player goes off the stage while the piano player is taking a solo or something like that, and it's just kind of staring off into space, looking out the windows. The audience sees these things. So don't just dress good, but look like you are engaged with the band when you're on stage, because somebody is watching you the whole time. The third thing also seems like an obvious one, but it's treat the staff of the venue with respect. I can't tell you how many times I've been on a restaurant or a bar gig, and hey, getting a meal was part of the compensation. Maybe the gig paid $100 and a meal. And at the end of the night, they were so busy we asked to get food, and it just didn't happen. Now, what do you do in that situation? On the one hand, you could have a signed contract and show it to the manager and say, hey, look here, we get food. And the manager might just say, we're too busy, I'm sorry. Now that happens sometimes. And the question is, what do you do in this situation? Unfortunately, you're just not getting food. That's the long and short of it. But trust me when I say, the manager will remember if you were cool about it or not. If it's a steady gig, a weekly, a bi-weekly, a monthly, and you come in next time, and the manager remembers you being cool about it, they might throw in some extra drinks for free when that wasn't originally part of the plan because you were understanding about the situation. If you do order food and it comes out slower than you like, you can't really be like, hey, where's our food? We're there to do a job. We are there to entertain, and the bar staff, the wait staff, or whoever else is working at the venue, they have jobs too. And unfortunately, the musicians, the help, as we kind of are, we're the lowest priority to them. So keep this in mind. Whatever venue you're at, treat all of the employees with respect, and it'll work out just fine in the end. One of the reasons I decided to make this video in particular was because of a singer I was working with just recently. This singer is a bit of a scatterbrained kind of guy, super nice, books a lot of gigs, I like him a lot, but he can be a little forgetful. Sometimes he doesn't include all of the details in his text messages or emails to the band, so I often have to play second band leader, if you will, and clarify any details that he might have missed in the original message. He appreciates that. Maybe he forgot an address. Maybe this gig was in Michigan or Indiana, and there's some of those blurry areas where is this Central Time Zone or is this Eastern Time Zone? That makes a big difference. The other thing that makes me in particular more helpful to this particular singer is knowing his keys, his tempos, his endings or arrangements. Especially if we're playing with someone who maybe has not worked with him before or hasn't worked with him in a long time, it's really helpful to have at least one musician that knows how he likes to do things. This particular singer has a habit of calling off tunes without calling the keys, and the guitar player or piano player looks around and goes, "What key are we in?" And because I've worked with him so many times, I have all of this memorized. So when I get called for this singer's gigs, he knows the bass player is going to be ready for everything he throws at the band because I got that shit down. The last thing that I think can make you more valuable to the band leaders that hire you is to flip the script and hire them for gigs. Now, this is not often possible. Some of us just don't book that many gigs. A lot of singers cannot be used as sidemen on the gig. It just doesn't happen that much. When it comes to working with singers and trying to get them gigs, again, Chicago is a big singer city, and I personally work with a lot of singers, so that's my frame of reference for today's video. I will look for every possible opportunity to get a singer a gig. Let's say singer A calls me for a whole bunch of gigs and so does singer B. And singer A is sick one day and asks me, "Hey Mike, I can't make the gig today, I'm not feeling well. Who should I get to sing in my place?" I'll say, "Oh, call singer B. She's great. She calls me for a bunch of stuff. I like working with her." Boom. Now I just hooked up a friend of mine that has called me for so many gigs, I get to return the favor. That's a thing I'm personally just big on. If you could at least recommend someone to sub in for a gig, you're in a pretty good position, and that band leader will find you more valuable. So that's what I'm riffing on today. I always want to be the most valuable musician I can be to the band leaders that hire me. I want to get called as often as possible. I wish I had gigs 7 days a week, as tiring as that would be. But most importantly, I want to be thought of as a great dude, a great bass player, dependable, makes the whole band sound good, and a whole bunch of other positive things. That's my goal. Let me know what you think about this. Feel free to drop any comments in the description below. I'll see you on the next one.